I will cover one more thing before I go. Of the North American Union, Donald Trump busts out with the North American Union. Yep. So this gets into the 10 Kingdoms. In Revelation, the verse says in Revelation about this, at the very end times, there's going to be 10 kingdoms of the earth, which you can kind of see they're already formed. So to me, it looks kind of discouraging that it's either going to take, sadly, warfare, like wars, and or a sudden peace treaty type emergencies that occur that force these into 10 regions, because sadly people are fighting too much is probably what the excuse will be. But the verse, I believe this one is from Revelation. It's got to be. It says, "And the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings, which have received no kingdom as yet." They're not even really kings over these areas, right? That's what I take it as. "But they receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast. These have one mind and shall give their power and strength unto the beast." And that kind of makes me wonder now how much the world leaders are already on the same page. Or they have leaders lined up that would be. These are the same as like those 10 final toes of the Nebuchadnezzar statue of the kingdoms down through time. At the very end of time, you have the 10 toes. And of course, then the rock, the Lord, comes down and destroys that. But in Revelation, it's telling you what's going to happen. There's going to be 10 regions of the earth. They have been speculated before on a Club of Rome map of 10 socio-economic regions. And it may explain why many regions are at war and conflict right now, as they're consolidating these 10 kingdoms or trying to figure them out or getting ready. So I lean toward a theory that the world leaders are deliberately kind of in on the wars together ish, or the ones that aren't are being pushed and pressured into the plan. But the another thing about the verse from Revelation is it seems like it's saying, even though they may not, like for example, Trump is only right now, and it could be another figure later, Vance, let's just say Vance, whatever, after Trump. So they would only be over the United States, but when the beast system shows up, they will like almost be appointed maybe over the Canada, Greenland, and U.S., because it says they have received no kingdom as yet, but they receive power as kings 1 hour, which is just going to be that short time at the end. In other words, when the Antichrist system rules, wherever it rules from, probably the temple at Jerusalem, it's not like they will be the king of the whole entire world, so they're going to fire the Chinese leader, and they're going to fire the American leader, and they're going to fire the Europe leader and get them gone and be the king. It's going to be more like every region will answer to him, if that's what it sounds like for a short time, and they'll all be in agreement, and they give their power and strength totally to the beast only. They have to, because of the mark system, or no one will buy, sell, trade, or eat. So this may be why we see the regions at war. The conflict is the consolidation of the 10 kingdoms. In World War II, the rumor was that all of your major leaders were appointed and cooperating from the same secret societies. And I'm going to read some more about that later. So you have your 10 regions, and that also matches Daniel chapter 7, verse 7. "After this I looked in the night visions, and behold, a fourth beast, dreadful and terrifying and extremely strong, and it had large iron teeth. It devoured and crushed and trampled down the remainder with its feet, and it was different from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns." And that's what it was thinking, is this final thing on the earth is going to have 10 horns. And then in Revelation it talked about the 10 horns were 10 kings. Israeli News Live had some interesting videos lately as of late May of 2025. If you want to go on that time frame of Israeli News Live, he's having some interesting videos on a Club of Rome map, and details may be adjusted down through time because they did that map many years ago. Decades have passed, but the conflicts we're seeing today, they may not go perfectly into those 10 kingdoms. It may be a little different now, but it may also be forced in coming treaties. So I think they've obviously been experimenting with the European Union for a while as one of these regions, and it's been an experiment. And there's been rumors forever for the North American Union, and Trump immediately talked about it as soon as he came to office. What are they telling him? Like, I don't think they're telling him, oh, we need to do this to fight China, as much as they might be. That might be all he's falling for. I just have to wonder if he's kind of like in on the groups and they're like, sell it to them, child, sell it to them. Tell the people they got to have Greenland and that Canada wants to join us. That he started talking about Canada, Gulf of America, and Panama Canal at the same time with Greenland. And they've been talking about the Amero for a long time too. But the regions are, from the map, it says there's a North American Union, there's a European Union, a Japan European Union, a Pacific Union, South Africa, and Australia. And then there's Russia with some surrounding areas joined, like maybe what's being fought around today, which is called the Asia Cooperation Dialogue. Like I said, this was back, they was having this plan back in the day, so some of this could be adjustable or adjusted. South American Union, which is from the Mexico and South all the way into the whole South America. So it's like Central and South America together. There's the Arab Customs Union of North Africa and all of these Arab Spring nations kind of put together. There's the African Union of the central part of Africa that's still there. That, you know, it's not South America. It's not the North. I mean, it's not South Africa or North, the very north parts of Africa. That would be another interesting reason for Arab Spring, is forming that union. So then there's the Southeast Asian nations, which already kind of exists today. India and Pakistan is on the map, I believe, with Afghanistan. Then there's China, North Korea, and Taiwan together. And so they've already been theorizing on these 10 regions. I hate to think about the kind of wars that it would take to make this more solid, you know, before the B system comes. So hopefully it would come pretty quick instead of having to go through wars and wars, through some kind of a peace trade deal and whatnot. Even though this just, all this discussion lets you know that there are big changes coming, y'all. So that gets me into the next part of the pale horse is coming. I think I have time to cover that. So I think I've made the point that a pale horse is ahead after we see the scale system of the black horse arrive, probably. Probably we will see the full system arrive before. Things, though, I've been wondering how quickly things are going to happen now because of how short the time is, but I think we're going to see a rationing system before we see a pale horse, but most likely after 2027, possibly after 2030. And like I said, I'm thinking 4.5 to 11 years until the tribulation actually begins because of the Shemitah cycles theory with Mark Biltz. He can help you understand that. This tribulation begins the 7-year period where you will see the covenant confirmed, the temple built at Jerusalem, the sacrifices begin, and the Antichrist beast system being set up. Even though it looks like they do not do their hardcore 666 system until the halfway point. It seems like the world systems are planning for 2030 like it is a full-on emergency. So one of the things I wondered when I got hit so hard is after the third seal, does everything just go super fast? In other words, we've been on 10-year cycles, but if is being hit this hard and everything with the third seal, is that just another sign that we're no longer on 10-year cycles? Why is everything so urgent? Why are we forcing the virus and wars and collapses? What are they nervous about? Do they know about this cataclysm of the binary sun systems? The powers of heaven shall be shaken. Some of them may know about Revelation 19:19 battles. So it reminds me of a study of a letter that Albert Pike, who is a secret society individual, he wrote Morals and Dogma, and like he was the Freemason of Freemasons before the old Aleister Crowley guy. And so he sent this letter, I think it was 1861, that defined the 3 planned world wars. So, and what it would accomplish on the earth. Well, the definition, like this was back in the late 1800s, which is the time frame that I'm saying that a lot of these major globalist things were planned. It wasn't just the world wars that were planned, it was the government systems that were planned back then. So, and this is why I dropped out of my master's in history at the university is because none of this, nothing was being discussed in college. And when you tried to write papers about the truth and bring the real books, they didn't let you. It was lies and lies on top of lies at the college about history. Just wow. So now when you look online for this letter, by the way, used to I could find it everywhere, but now it's deliberately letting you know that this was all fake and not real and never happened, so don't be looking on the internet for fake news. And that's how you know it's real. So it was a plan for 3 world wars and what they would accomplish on the earth. And from what you can read, I'm about to read you guys this. I'll have to read it next time, so because I'm running out of time on this one. But yeah, basically whatever Albert Pike had wrote, these Satanists that were planning on the things on the world wars, the first 2 world wars accomplished what they were supposed to. I've always wondered, oh my goodness, I hate to. I'm not rushing anything, but like, why were the first 2 so fast and close together, and then it took 100 years, you know, to the third one? But it does make sense that people saw the first 2 and they really tried not to do. And then what that accomplished did make everything last more peacefully for a while, kind of. And then they don't want the last one until they're really about to change things for good, finally. Maybe something like that. That's why I think that most of these world leaders are just faking their role and they're playing their role. So, and they're assigned and appointed and belong to groups. And this is one of the things you really shouldn't talk about on the internet ever. So they're all in families and stuff like that. Everybody knows by now. So Albert Pike wrote about 3 world wars, and it's debunked. When you find it now, you find copies, but oh, it's debunked because it's not real. I found some notes about how that's communist systems versus the anti-communist system of National Socialism, and they were planning both of them on purpose. And America was going to become super socialist, which we did since World War II with the Social Security and different systems like that. There was just plans for the world in the late 1800s, and that includes our modern banking systems, our modern education systems, our monetary systems, our healthcare, science pushed everywhere, travel, industrialization, pretty much everything we see. And I'm not against everything, and I'm not saying we should never use medicine or anything like that. It's just these things were planned a certain way, and it explains a lot of what we see today and what they're planning next. So an interesting part was they were trying to force, England was too powerful before the world wars. So they were trying to force England into the European Union and decrease its power. They pretty much did that. So the Arab Springs have shifted us toward World War III by design. And so I'm going to read these descriptions from Albert Pike on the next videos because it's just getting too long. I'll pick up there. But I will leave you guys with some channels that I follow consistently for news. But I still follow some who I recommend for information these days. Of course, Paul Begley, Prophecy, or Paul Begley YouTube channel, Begley. And then I follow the Canadian Prepper, Marfugel News. There's Marfugel News and Marfugel TV, and Tucker Carlson and InfoWars. Because AJ has cleaned up his act a whole lot since he was fined for $1 billion and entered spiritual warfare. I noticed he won't even let Roseanne Barr tell him pagan ideas. He corrects them back into Christian ideas because he's trying to fight the good fight, it seems like, lately. So he's shifted a whole lot these days, guys. And he's doing a lot of new things. He's planning on going 24/7 with 24-hour broadcasts. And he doesn't own his company anymore, so they can't take it. And they have a lot of positive plans for, they said this time we got everybody awoke to a point where everybody's talking about what's really going on way more. And he said his next goal was to, I forget, go 24 hours. And his next goal is to go 24 hours everywhere. So telling people what's going on, and very dangerous. He'll probably still be a canary. He was a canary for censorship and deplatforming. He's probably going to be a canary in the future for where did he go kind of thing, I hate to say. So, anyway, that's who I follow lately. If y'all have any questions, just leave in the comments. And I should be back very shortly with, I'm going to talk more about things I should never be saying on the internet, basically. Obviously. Why I'm looking at 2027. The pale horse. More on the pale horse. That's pretty much it. Oh, and then I'm going to read some other notes I have about. Oh yeah, that's the things I should never. I'm gonna read y'all things that you should never put on the internet. Okay. Okay. Well, I will be in touch shortly. I'll see you guys later.